For 2 years she lived inside the walls of Ravencrest Manor, invisible, silent, surviving on stolen bread and forgotten hope. The powerful duke who owned the estate had no idea the woman everyone thought was dead was watching him through cracks in his own walls, until the night he left bread and cheese in his kitchen and whispered into the darkness, "I know you're there, and I'm not going to make you leave." This is Elena's story. Elena pressed her palm against the cold stone, feeling footsteps 3 corridors away. 2 years of living inside Ravencrest Manor's forgotten passages had taught her its rhythms better than her own heartbeat. Every creak, every groan of ancient timber, every draft through gaps only she knew existed. At 34, she'd become something between a thief and a ghost, the silence that moved when no one was listening. Tonight, something was different. The footsteps weren't following their usual pattern, too deliberate, too slow, heading toward the kitchen passage she used every third night. She held her breath in the narrow servants' corridor, barely wide enough for her shoulders. She'd found this entrance 2 years ago during her first desperate night. Half frozen, nowhere left to go. The manor had opened for her like a wound in reverse. It had taken her in. Through the crack in the stone, she watched. Duke Marcus Ashford stood in his own kitchen, barefoot, dark hair loose, wearing only sleep clothes. 42 years old. Impossibly calm expression. Leaning against the table as though waiting, as though he knew. Elena's pulse slammed against her throat. She'd seen him hundreds of times over 2 years, through cracks and gaps and narrow slits between stones. She'd watched him sit alone past midnight, staring at maps he never read. Watched him press fingers to his temples when advisors left. Once, she'd watched him stand at the East Tower window and whisper something to the rain she couldn't. Here. She knew his face the way she knew the architecture. Every angle, every shadow. But he had never looked in her direction. Until now, his gaze lifted. Not to her crack exactly, but close enough. "I know you're there," he said. Low voice, not threatening. Solid, unavoidable. Elena didn't answer. She could retreat. The passage branched behind her. "You've been here a long time," he continued. "The kitchen staff think we have a selective rat. One that only takes fresh bread, never salted meat, prefers the rosemary loaves." A pause. "Personally, I think the rosemary loaves are the best. Can't fault the taste." Silence. He waited. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said quietly. "I'm not going to make you leave." Elena pressed her forehead against stone. Her throat ached. 2 years of silence and survival. Somewhere in those years, watching through walls, she'd started to feel like she knew him. Kind to servants, cold to nobles. Kept a 3-legged hound. Read histories of failed wars to learn from mistakes. Hadn't truly laughed once in all her watching. She knew she should run. Instead, her hand pushed the stone panel. She stepped out, into the kitchen, blinking against dim firelight. His expression changed. She knew how she looked. Stolen servant's tunic too large, patched trousers, hair tangled and dulled with dust, too thin. Standing barefoot before one of the kingdom's most powerful men with no plan whatsoever. His gaze moved over her. Not calculating, careful, thorough. She watched his eyes catch on her bruised wrists, the scar along her jaw, watched something tighten in his expression, controlled anger on a short leash. "How long?" he asked. 2 years. Her voice came out rough. "Give or take." He exhaled slowly, rubbed his jaw, a gesture she'd seen 1,000 times through walls. "How's the rent?" he said. Elena blinked. He wasn't quite smiling, but something shifted at the corner of his mouth. "Free," she said before she could stop herself, though the accommodations leave something to be desired. He smiled. Small, brief but real. Something inside Elena's chest cracked like ice on a spring river. He pulled out a chair, gestured to the one across. "I'm not calling the guards," he said. "If I wanted you caught, I would have sealed the passages months ago." "You knew about them?" "Since I was 12. Used to hide in them when my father's moods turned dark." He met her eyes. "Didn't know someone was living in them until 6 months ago. Footprint in the dust. Too small to be mine. 6 months." He'd known for 6 months and hadn't come looking until now. She sat. "You're running from something," he said. Not a question. "Yes." "Bad enough that living inside walls seemed better?" "Yes." He nodded. "There's bread in the larder. Soup from tonight." "Will you eat if I bring it?" Pride said no. Her stomach said otherwise. "Yes." He moved through the kitchen with ease, returned with warm soup, and half a rosemary loaf. She ate, tried to eat slowly. But the first taste of hot soup after 2 years of cold scraps broke her restraint. She ate like a starving creature because she was. Kept her eyes down, unable to bear seeing pity. When she looked up, no pity. Just careful attention and that simmering anger not directed at her. "What's your name?" Her name was dangerous. Connected to a family destroyed. A girl supposedly burned in a fire. "Elena," she said. Just the first name. "Elena." He tested it quietly. "I'm Marcus. I know who you are. I imagine you do. You've been watching me for 2 years. No judgment, just fact. You probably know my habits better than anyone alive." Heat crept up her neck. "You can stay," he said. "Not in the walls. I have rooms, empty ones, dozens." He leaned forward. "Whatever you're running from, they haven't found you in 2 years inside my manor. Ravencrest can keep you safe, but you shouldn't have to live like a ghost to—" "Be safe!" The words landed somewhere deep she'd sealed years ago. "I'll think about it," she managed. "Take your time. Room at the end of the east corridor, 3rd floor. Lock works from inside. I'll leave bedding outside tomorrow." He turned to go. Stopped. Looked back. "And Elena, you don't have to use the passages anymore. But if you do, at least take the good cheese next time. You've been eating the cooking cheese. It's terrible." She almost laughed. It caught in her throat, but it was there. She didn't take the room immediately. Watched from the walls as he left bedding outside the door. Checked each morning. Walked away without comment. On the 3rd night, everything changed. In the passage behind his study, she heard him speaking through the communication mirror. "The Thornwood estate fires," Marcus said, voice hard. 3 years ago. I want every record, every witness, every name connected to the land seizure." Her blood turned to ice. Thornwood. Her family. Name. "The daughter was reported dead," the mirror voice replied. "Burned in the fire." "No body was found." Marcus's voice dropped low. "Someone survived. I want to know who ordered the attack. I want proof." Elena's hand shook against the stone. He was investigating her family's destruction. "Why?" She stepped out of the wall. Marcus turned sharply, hand dropping to his desk. "Elena!" She was trembling, couldn't stop. "Thornwood, you're investigating the Thornwood fires." His expression went still. She watched understanding move through him, watched him look, really look, at the scar on her jaw. The way she flinched at flames. "You're the daughter," he said softly. "The one they said died." "I didn't die." The words came fierce. "I crawled through cellars, ran for 3 days, hid, and when I couldn't hide anywhere else, I found your walls." He moved toward her slowly, stopped 2 feet away. "I started investigating 3 months ago. Irregularities in the land, seizure. I didn't know it was you. Didn't know you were here." His jaw tightened. "But I'm glad you are." "Why do you care?" The question tore out. "My family's lands are provinces away. Because it was wrong. Simple. Absolute. No hesitation. And because I have the power to find truth, which means I have the responsibility to use it." Something in her chest loosened painfully. She stared at him in lamplight. Marcus Ashford looked exactly what he was. A man who believed power was a tool, not a throne. She'd watched him for 2 years, learned him in fragments. Standing here now, she realized the understanding she'd built through walls had been real. "I'll take the room," she whispered. Something shifted in his eyes. Relief. Maybe something warmer. Good. Over the following weeks, Marcus brought her into the investigation. At first, she resisted, but he handed her the pieces of her destroyed life without conditions, without demands, asked what she remembered, listened without interrupting, cross-referenced her memories with records, showed her where the lies were buried. Lord Blackwell. The name surfaced like something rotten. A minor lord with outsized ambitions. Paid soldiers to set fire, paid clerks to bury evidence. Her father refused to sell Thornwood lands, so they took them by force and called it tragedy. "I'll bring him before the High Council," Marcus said one evening, quiet with controlled fury. "Every piece of evidence. He won't walk away." Elena looked at him across the desk, lamplight pooling between them. Felt the pull she'd been resisting, maybe for 2 years of watching through walls. "Why are you doing this for me?" He set down his pen, met her eyes. "Because you deserved someone who would." He stopped. "And because from the moment you stepped out of my kitchen wall, covered in dust and fury, and starving but still standing, I haven't been able to think about anything else." The air went still. "Marcus," she, whispered. "You don't have to say anything. You don't owe me." "I know." She stood, moved around the desk. "I know I don't owe you anything. That's why this means something." She leaned down and kissed him. His hand came up to cradle her face. Gentle. So gentle. The kiss was soft at first. Tentative. A question asked between 2 people alone too long. Then his other hand found her waist, and the kiss deepened into walls, finally coming down. When they pulled apart, his forehead rested against hers. "I've watched you for 2 years," she breathed. "Through cracks and stone. I've seen every version of you, the ones you show the world, and the ones you hide. And I've never seen one I didn't trust." He opened his eyes. There it was. The expression she'd never seen in 2 years of watching. Joy. The tribunal took place 6 weeks later. Elena stood in Ravencrest's great hall in a gown of deep emerald, not stolen servants' clothes, shoulders back, scars visible. Her full name spoken aloud for the first time in 3 years. Elena Thornwood. Lord Blackwell's face went ash-colored when he saw her. He'd paid to have her killed. Believed it done. Marcus presented evidence with cold precision. Documents, testimonies, financial records. Every word measured and devastating. But Elena delivered the final blow. She stepped forward. The hall went silent. She spoke clearly without trembling, though her heart hammered. Told them about crawling through smoke, running until her feet bled, hiding until she forgot sunlight. "You tried to erase me," she said, looking directly at Blackwell. "Burned my home, killed my family, wrote my name out of the world." She paused. "But walls have ears, my lord, and I have been listening." The council ruled unanimously. Blackwell was stripped of titles and lands. Thornwood estates returned to their rightful heir. That night Elena stood on the East Tower balcony, the same tower whose walls she'd slept inside for 2 years. Marcus found her there. He always found her. "The council confirmed your title restoration," he said, standing close. "Lady Thornwood. Officially. It doesn't feel real. It will." His hand found hers. Warm. Steady. "Give it time." She turned to face him. Thought about how she'd first seen him barefoot in his kitchen, asking a ghost about rent. How he'd left bedding outside a door without comment. How he'd handed her broken pieces of history, and helped her build something from wreckage. "I love you," she said. The words came easily. They'd been building for weeks. His hand tightened on hers. She watched the words land, watched something crack open behind his eyes. "I've loved you since you stepped out of a wall covered in dust and told me the rent was free." His voice was rough. "I loved you before I knew your name. I think I loved the ghost of you, the footprint in dust, the idea that someone chose my walls to be safe in." She kissed him on the balcony of the tower she'd once hidden inside, with wind pulling at her hair and stars vast above. Kissed him until the word home rearranged itself, settled somewhere new, somewhere shaped exactly like the space between his arms. 3 months later, Ravencrest Manor had changed. Not in its bones, but in its warmth. Elena sat in their study, theirs, not his, reviewing correspondence from Thornwood Estates. Reconstruction underway, families returning. The land healing the way all wounded things heal with patience and care. The 3-legged hound dozed at her feet. Marcus sat across the desk writing. "You're staring," she said without looking up. "You're worth staring at." She glanced up. He was watching her with that expression. Joy, unguarded and world-altering, on a face built for severity. "I found another passage yesterday," she said. "Behind the library. Beautiful old fresco on the interior wall. A woman in armor standing over a fallen city." "My own walls are full of secrets," he said. "I should know." She smiled. It still surprised her how easily smiling came now. He stood, circled the desk, kissed the top of her head. His hand rested on her shoulder, thumb tracing gentle circles. "I used to wonder why the manor felt alive," he murmured against her hair. "Why it never felt empty even when I was alone. I thought it was the history. The stones remembering everyone who'd lived here before." She tipped her head back to look at him. "And now? Now I think it was you." His eyes were warm, full of steady love. "Breathing in the walls, making my cold, stubborn manor into something it had never been." "And what's that?" He kissed her soft and slow. She felt his smile against her lips. "Home. The end." Sometimes we think it's too late for second chances. Elena spent 2 years invisible, believing she had to survive alone. But the walls she hid behind became the very thing that led her home. It's never too late to step out of the shadows, to trust again, to find someone who sees you, truly sees you, and chooses to stay. What did you love most about this story? The slow burn romance, Marcus's quiet strength, Elena's courage. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more stories of second chances, mature love, and finding home in unexpected places. You're never too old for a beautiful love story.